I would like to call to order the Monday, March 17th meeting of the City of Monona Finance and Personnel Committee. Would the clerk?
Hold on there, I'm waiting for that light to change. I think it doesn't go off green when it's actually
Usually does
going.
go red.
Yeah.
I forgot.
It's,
Oh, Mary's wearing green.
maybe that's why they left it on.
Had to.
Usually this goes red.
Or I could just wear my face.
Yeah, this is not going live yet.
Is
It
it
is live.
Irish?
Huh?
You Irish?
Yeah, it's good, it's fine.
Connor.
Excellent. I know, but. All right,
Like 90%, yeah.
all right, Mayor, good to go.
All right. I would like to call to order the Monday, March 17th meeting of the City of Monona Finance and Personnel Committee. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Nicola. Alder Wood.
Here?
Mayor O'Connor.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the March 3rd meeting?
Motion approved.
Alderwood?
I don't know, since I wasn't, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Since I
thought-
wasn't here, maybe.
I'm sorry, I will second. I think there were two corrections that the clerk noticed after the packet went out that she's corrected.
Okay.
Alderwood was not here, and what was it, the first item?
Oh, Jake, can you hear us?
Oh, my.
Jake, can you hear us? Oh,
He's on mute.
yeah, he's on mute. Okay, we know.
And
can
one
hear
other
him.
item.
In the first motion, I had
That's me, hold on. No, it's not. Anybody have to speak up?
No.
Anybody have what?
It's usually me.
Zoom?
I'm all the way down, so it's not me. Now we're okay. All right.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anyway, in the first item, it was seconded by Mayor O'Connor, not Alder O'Connor, so
Oh.
thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Minutes are approved. There are no appearances. There is no unfinished business. We have several items under new business. Item 6A, consideration of Resolution 25-3-2787, approving a facility use agreement with Monona Swim and Dive Club. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion approved.
Second?
Jake?
Jake, can you hear us?
Oh,
Nope.
no?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Yes.
We can.
Oh. Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, good, okay. Let her up, Jake. We have Monona Swim and Dive, Jake. You're up.
Okay, thank you. These are facility use agreements that we conduct on an annual basis with user groups that use our facilities. First one is Swim and Dive. This agreement previously was approved last year at council for a multi-year agreement. We did some modifications to the pool hours that impacted their time in the pool. So this was brought forth, negotiated between our department and the Swim and Dive organization, and was recommended for approval by Parks Board at our last meeting.
Any questions?
Jake, did you want to note the one, I think there's really one main change to the schedule?
Yeah, so the main change to the pool schedule is we're adding additional swim lesson times and Monona Swim and Dive practice times in the evening, and cutting into our evening swim Monday through Thursday by half an hour. That's the main change. We are giving some dedicated pool time to both adult lap swimmers and the Aqua Zumba participants as well.
So what will be the open pool time then on weeknights?
7:30 to 9 instead of 7 to 9.
Oh, okay, all right. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, consideration of resolution 25-3-2788, approving a facility use agreement with Monona's Farmers Market. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion approved.
Second?
Jake?
Sure. Monona Farmers Market, long-standing user group at Ahuska Park. Previously had been on a 5-year agreement. We had some robust discussion at Parks Board about opportunities for generating revenue for future improvements at the farmer's market. Based on conversations with the market personnel and myself, we recommended a one-year extension of the existing facility use agreement, which has no fees to the farmer's market. And the city and Park and Rec looks to support the market as best we can with the volunteer organization that is operating it.
Questions?
Just a comment.
Mhm.
Just wanted to state to whoever's watching, you don't see much debate about these facility use agreements out of this body, because both of the alders are on the Parks Commission and already discussed
Ah.
it. So, yes.
Correct.
Good point.
Sure.
Mention that, yes.
Good point. Doug?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, my takeaway after the discussion at Parks Board, because we had, back up, Parks Board had previously discussed the potential for more revenue generating from the market. They were not at that meeting, and they were at the meeting last week. My sort of takeaway is there's pretty limited ability for them to increase that. There may not be much appetite out there for it, and they just don't have. I mean, it's a pretty. It's a very, very lean organization.
Well, and they don't have much room to expand there either.
Right.
They're up against the limit with parking. They have the maximum amount of booths that they have, so there's really not much more that can be done to bring in additional revenue besides more aggressive sponsorships, but even that's kind of limited.
Right. So that's it.
All right, if there's nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, consideration of Resolution 25-3-2789, approving a facility use agreement with Papa's Barbecue. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Jake?
Yep, this is a second facility use agreement with vending at Ahuska Park. Papa's Barbecue has been a good use of the park, and they pay a monthly rental fee. That fee is increased. We did a one-year extension to kind of revisit the opportunity that might exist for having non-exclusive use of the park for vending, and to see if there is more vendors that would want to vend there on a daily basis. The last couple of years, the food truck and market has been hit or miss as far as where people will go and want to go. So we're comfortable with the consistency that Papa's brings to the park. They're also a good supporter of our special events. So 1 year extension of the existing facility use agreement with an increase in a monthly fee up to $625 a month.
All right, any questions?
It's a great relationship, I think. Really good barbecue, and he's good to work with, and he shows up. And
Agreed.
so,
And
It's
I
nice to have that activity there too.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I assume they take care of cleaning up after themselves?
That's correct. Yes.
All right, well, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, consideration of Resolution 25-3-2790, approving a facility use agreement with Monona Community Festival. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Who's going to take the lead on this? Jake, were you, or?
Yeah, Jake, you want to start off?
Sure. This facility use agreement is a long time coming. We've had various phases of draft agreements internally. We've met multiple times amongst department heads with the previous Monona Community Festival and now the new Monona Community Festival organizers about detailing out specifically what each organization is responsible for in regards to hosting the festival at Winnequa Park. And so this agreement, I think, is pretty detailed in its nature and scope, but outlines all the responsibilities, including the staff time that is estimated for both Public Works, police, fire, and the park's fees according to the special event fee schedule.
And I would add that we haven't had a written agreement with them before, with the previous incarnation of the festival, correct?
Correct. Correct. It had been a handshake agreement for years. We'd meet months ahead of time. We talked about having a more documented facility use agreement, and we were kind of inching towards that, but it's a big event. It's kind of complex in the nature of the uses and the assistance that the city provides to it. And so I think we've been able to spend a fair amount of time documenting all those costs that are hard costs to the city, along with, how we can support the festival.
And thank you for taking the lead on that, Jake. Neil, did you want to add?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. I did send an email out to the Finance Committee here late this afternoon. The original intent was to make sure we include the direct version that was approved at Parks Board in your packet with this copy of this memo of suggestions of additional edits. We have a very efficient and effective Director of Administrative Services who actually started incorporating some of those changes into the document. So we just wanted to point those out.
Do you have a good working relationship with that person?
Yes, very much so, yes. She's out, I wouldn't even call it a working relationship, because if we ever lost her, we'd be completely SOL, so.
I'm sorry. I was making-
no,
I
no,
thought
she's-
you were talking about yourself.
No, I'm talking about Director Kimmel, who's absolutely invaluable to our operation, so. So just want to quickly point out, I think the one point I think that there's been some discussion and what I think the festival would like some flexibility on is moving the storage facility currently used at the Public Works Garage. I think eventually that's something staff would like to get that space and use that, as well as be able to restrict access into the Public Works facility. I think there's a couple good reasons for us to be doing that from a liability and also from a just a general staff impact standpoint. It is not an emergency. That language is in there right now. We suggested really at the conclusion of the existing festival, simply because it was, rather than move it out and then move it back in and then move it back out again, was just kind of what our thought was. Public Works is certainly in a position to assist and to allow that to be in there at a longer period. So I think at this point, most likely would ask for that language, probably, I'm assuming it would be removed from there if that was the council's discretion to do that, to allow them some additional time.
Just so I'm clear, you're talking about under 2A,
Yes,
where it says licensee will have, et cetera.
yes, sir, that's correct.
So take that out completely, or just,
I think what we want to do would be the second bullet there. Yeah, I think for now, this is a one-year agreement, so we could probably, the easiest way to deal with it would be simply to remove that bullet. And then continue to just work with the festival on trying to find an additional location.
okay.
Unless there would be a fixed deadline that council would like to add on that.
Well, I mean, we could just put a period after 2025 event, unless the intent is to give them longer to figure it out and.
Yeah, and I think that certainly would be the
Okay.
festival's request, Alder. I think it's
Okay.
probably what they're looking
All right.
for. I think we could, obviously, certainly the amount of logistics going into creating the event in the
Right.
first place is taking up a lot of their time.
Yep.
Not to mention, just I think to find, they're certainly looking at possibly penning or renting for space, and that's proving to be a little bit more expensive than they're probably willing to take a look at. So I think the ideal situation would be to find someone else willing to donate some space to give them access to a place to store that. But I think they would appreciate some additional time to get that achieved.
So what are we going to do?
I think I would recommend that, just removing that second bullet, I think would probably be under 2A. Just remove that bullet about, putting a deadline essentially on the start. Or we could just
That will be
simply,
taken, I mean, somebody will be taking a look at that at some point.
yeah, absolutely, right. And I think we'll actually continue to work with the festival while trying to identify space. We just,
Okay.
it's a one-year agreement, so this would obviously come up again for the agreement for next year at the latest. And then most of the other changes, again, just adding specific dates to permits, working with the city clerk to get those added into the document specifically. I think there's blanks in there right now about when those permits need to be turned in. Just adding some specific dates. Making sure that the insurance requirements are specifically listed and documents that we need them or have been turned in and included as part of this. Making sure that the licensee is responsible for all the deliveries and equipment are delivered on time. Listing full contact for like the on-site manager as well as some of the other folks. 7 and 8 in the memo, just making sure that they understand that the obtain approval of the security plan, not actually obtaining the security plan from our police department. They need to do the security plan, our police department needs to approve it. So just clarifying exactly what needs to be done. If there's any minimum qualification for event security, we would like to define. Traffic control plan identified and approved by the police department. Listing the contact information for the sponsorship coordinator, clarifying, adding, let's see, making sure all parties have approved. Insurance requirements, we mentioned that already. Licenses will begin cleanup, after the day after the festival, so we'll just specifying that cleanup needs to begin pretty much right away. We did actually include a couple references into also being consistent with any requirements of their tourism grant, assuming that they apply for one, which they have. They have submitted a tourism grant at this point, so that's going to be reviewed. And then just, the last one, which is also must abide by any conditions of that tourism grant. So that language, I believe, has been added to the document.
So
in
the
front of
only
me.
thing that would need to be changed at this point is the thing about the storage
I
facility.
believe so, Mayor. That's really the main difference. Everything else is just kind of clarifications, I think, and not substantial in their nature,
Okay,
so.
I'm assuming that, you discussed these things at Park Board, right?
No,
No?
not the new things.
Oh,
I mean, we
Right.
discussed everything else.
Yeah.
can we
Oh.
go ahead and approve
Yeah,
this without taking it back to them, I assume?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I mean, it seems more clarification than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I would agree, Mayor. I think that's fine. I think I just wanted to make sure that, like I said, we wanted to make sure and identify that it wasn't quite exactly the language that came
Yeah,
through
no, and it
at
makes
Parks,
sense,
so.
yeah.
I mean, I would say at Parks Board, we were aware that you had made some sort of suggestions. We hadn't seen them,
Yeah.
but I don't think any of these are major, other than the one that we're gonna take out, would have been more significant.
I would agree, Alder.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Patrick, did you have any?
No, I agree
Comments?
with that as well.
I had-
And Doug?
Didn't think to ask this at Parks Board, and think this is probably more a question for Neil, but we have, where is it, the money line? There it is, section 8. We
Yep.
have a specific amount, very specific amount in there that shall pay. $19,587.50 is, so that's like a flat sort of amount they're gonna pay, and if we have more hours from, say, PD, then we estimate here what happens.
Yeah, I think I would note, that's a great question, Alder. I think, notice police and fire have actual hours, but they say the number included is estimated in that table. So I
Right.
think they reserve the right that if for some reason it certainly was more or less, actually, in the case of fire, I think we actually went less last year, so, the idea was actually to have it, whatever the actual hours directly related to servicing the festival, for those two lines
You'll
specifically.
bill them after the event based on the actual hours.
Yep.
I hope we can.
So that's not what it says, though.
And
I mean-
no, that's what,
You
Yeah.
know, it says they shall pay that sum,
Yeah,
So if
I think
that's-
that's a great point. I think maybe moving those two out to, I think certainly police and fire moving those to be billed separately
And Public
afterwards would be.
Works.
And Public Works too, okay.
That sounds like about everything. Should we just instead say, shall pay up to $20,000, say, or say that shall pay fees estimated at, I don't know.
yeah.
We're also, we require a new facility use agreement every year for this, right?
For right now, we do,
Yes.
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I don't see, police and fire did a pretty good job of estimating time based upon all the previous years of doing this. So I guess I'm not super concerned about getting it to the exact.
I'm just wondering if something comes up that requires a lot more time.
Yeah. I know we have it in there with like, if things go beyond wear and tear on the part, they're gonna be responsible
Yep.
for those things. Yeah, so, yeah.
But if some kind of event happens that requires a lot more, police support, or, let's
Yeah.
hope that doesn't happen, but.
We certainly could add a footnote to the table that would state that if for any labor between those three departments that exceeds these estimated additional fees may be charged.
Well, if they're willing to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my concern, is just that both sides understand what it is, because to me, from their standpoint, right now, I would, if I were them, I would expect I would pay $19,587.50.
I would
So,
agree with you on that too. Like if I had signed this contract, I'd be like, well, that's what we're paying unless, there's some extra wear and tear, but, it's also good for their budget, and it's the first year that they're doing it, so
right,
maybe, I mean, I would be inclined to maybe leave it alone this year.
just put it in as that fixed amount.
At that fixed
I mean,
amount.
Well, maybe,
But,
Brian Henry's gonna be there for council
Mm-hmm.
tonight, so see what he thinks, and
Okay.
have a couple of weeks.
That's
3
true.
weeks
It's only
before
the
the
first read.
next meeting,
Yeah,
so,
and I think the key element would just be that certainly if council's aware, that if we try to, if this is adopted as a fixed amount and something does happen, that that's coming out of an existing budget. So
right.
So as long as everyone's aware of that.
Mhm.
But it could be that they also end up paying less, right? We're not necessarily going to bill them for this exact amount.
Right, and like I said, last year that was the
Yeah,
case. Last year
so-
we actually had a little bit. We
Well,
actually
no,
reduced, we
I
actually
mean-
reduced one. Yeah.
No, I mean,
This
to me,
makes it
right, the
sound
way it
like
says
that's
right
what
now
they're
is they pay us that,
Yep.
period. Like,
Yeah, and,
And here's how we figured it out, but
Mhm.
they don't, if we don't need as many hours for something, to me, they would still be on the hook.
But if
I mean,
there was
that's kind
some
of
sort
the
of-
benefit, they have certainty, but, they maybe are overpaying, maybe they're underpaying, but,
And that's kind of what I'm thinking of as far as like leaving it alone. Because also, I mean, what would be the, I guess the event that would cause a considerable increase would be some sort of catastrophe that, right, that would be unanticipated. And I don't know how I feel about going back to the festival and having them pay for that.
true.
depends on the nature of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be, a bunch of fights break out,
Mhm.
and which might, you could argue were related to the festival activities.
Mhm.
I mean, certainly there, the world we live in, could be things that would happen that they have no more control over than anybody else.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
I don't have a strong feeling either way. I just think we need to be clear on what we're, what we expect them to pay, and if they're gonna know for sure that that's the amount, or that it might be subject to adjustment,
And my
up or
thought,
down.
my thought on that is just for the sake of them being able to anticipate this expense and accommodate it and plan for it. I mean, it might be a benefit to them, I don't know, for the first year.
Just
that
leaving
they're
it the
doing-
way it is.
Yeah, for the first year that they're doing this,
And probably department managers can use that budget number to plan for their
yes,
times
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
So
True.
here's your max,
yep.
plan for it.
I was kind of surprised that the police department number was as low as it is, because I thought last year that they had more time into it than that.
This is, I think generally, and certainly Jake or Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what they're essentially doing is they're charging the overtime, is what this actually bill is for. So we
It's-
actually have normal patrol officers on staff. That charge is not sent to the
I
festival.
remember
so-
last year going over this, and I could be wrong, but I think the chief told me, or maybe Kurt, that they have additional security on staff
Mhm.
Right.
at the festival, so that helped with that, so that was the reason why
Mhm.
it's not as much.
Okay.
Because the additional staff, it's different additional securities.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, I'm okay with passing this, forwarding this on to council the way it's written, and see what the discussion there leads to.
Just a quick question, Neil. Is on Wednesday, the 2nd, will the road be closed? I just want to make sure, because I got to let Metro know. 3rd and 4th are closed.
Yeah, I would
'Cause I
imagine
gotta
if
take a
that's
new
an,
route.
if that's an active day for the event hours for the carnival, I would say, yeah, that I would assume that would mean to be closed. I would
Okay.
think, yeah.
Jake has
Jake.
his waving.
Yeah.
No, the second's just the
Oh.
carnival, so there's
Okay.
no planned activities in the park, it's just the carnival, so Nichols
Okay.
Road will not be closed on the second. And I wouldn't anticipate the third either, but I guess we can check with Brian on that tonight, I believe it's just the fourth.
I think the
Chief
3rd,
McMullen's on
it's usually closed by like mid-afternoon on the 3rd, isn't it? Because that's when the band starts and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, if you can just
Yeah,
check.
so there may be some adjustments for those 2 days.
Mark, did you have something else?
No, I just want to make sure for Metro, make sure it's fine.
Any other questions about this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item E, consideration of Resolution 25-3-2791, authorizing beer sales by Parks and Recreation staff during 2025 special events. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve.
Second?
Jake?
It's our annual request to continue to be able to offer the wonderful beer gardens at Schluter Beach and have beer sales at other events hosted by Winona Parks and Rec.
Are you going to be serving beer at the senior center concerts? You don't do that anymore, do you?
No, that is the Friends of Senior Center, I believe, apply for their beer and wine. They did not do it last year, if the memory serves me right.
Pardon?
I don't think they're doing it this year either.
Oh, okay. And you're doing fewer beer gardens this year, right? Is that right? Or I
We're
guess you
bouncing
didn't do
back,
too many.
Mayor.
Pardon?
We're
You didn't do
bouncing
too
back
many.
this year. We went too much 2 years ago, too little last year, so we're gonna find the right squeeze. We'll go a couple in May, a couple in June, take July off, come back in August, September. So I think we'll have 7 or 8 at Schluter.
Okay.
And then we'll have some events at Grand Crossing Park too that will have beer available.
Okay. Questions, anyone? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Patrick, did you?
Yep.
Okay, motion passes. Item F, consideration of Resolution 25-3-2792, amending the 2025 operating budget for demolition of structures at 4539 Winnequa Road. Is there a motion to approve this?
Absolutely approve.
Second.
Neil, were you going to address this?
I can do a quick introduction, and I may ask Mark to comment on the actual, how it's going to be refunded over time. Essentially, this is a budget amendment to authorize the raising of the structures plural at 4539 Winnequa Road. This is a process that has been going on for quite some time. We've been preparing for this. We have the next 2 items essentially go together. The first is the budget amendment. The second is the actual approval of the contract. So essentially, we have had a competitive process to identify a contractor to come in and approve and actually conduct the raising of the structures on that address. So essentially, the information in your packet has to do with the selection of that individual contractor, but essentially we'll need to do a budget amendment to temporarily take that from fund balance with the anticipation that will be a special charge put on the property, and eventually will be repaid to the general fund, but that could take some time. I don't know if Mark has anything else to add to that specifically.
Not much other than, so we'll send an invoice to him, doesn't pay by October 30 or September 30th. We have the right to put it on their tax roll. So when the tax bill comes out in December, that's when that charge would show up. If the tax bill is not paid because of that, whatever issue, the county, it takes 3 years before the county would step in and start doing anything with that tax bill. So there could be a delay getting that money back. It's an if, but that's the worst case scenario. It'd take probably 3 to 4 years to recoup that cost.
Questions, anyone?
Yeah.
Doug?
Let's see. This is the one approving the contract, right?
This is approving the budget amendment.
The second one is,
The second one is,
G
the
is
next one is the
approving the
contract.
contract.
Yeah.
I have a different question for that. So I know there was some action in court, I believe, last week, and also, my understanding was that they had sought a temporary restraining order, and that was denied.
That's
And
correct. I'll bring that up here.
there've been so many, it's hard to keep track.
So, let's see. Let's see. Just provide quick overview here. So begun working on a motion for sanctions in response to Mr. Kinsler's latest filing. Under applicable statutes, motions for sanctions must be served upon a party at least 21 days before the motion is filed with the court. We intended to serve the sanctions motion early next week. This was dated March 7th. And then asked the circuit court for a hearing on the petition after an expiration of that 21-day window. Just a few minutes ago, the court issued a notice which set the hearing on Mr. Pretendler's for Monday, March 10th at 3:30. At the hearing, plan to make a number of arguments in opposition to the petition. So that was actually conducted. Here, let me see if I can find the latest here.
Well, I didn't, I didn't see it in an email, but I looked, you can find it on CCAP that the motion,
Essentially, yeah.
their motion for a TRO was denied.
The court
so
denied Mr. Kinsler's petition, so the raise order is still in effect, and
The
the city is
first-
able to continue.
The part that you talked about, the sanctions motion was gonna be from the city. We didn't file that,
Correct.
right? Okay. The other question I have is, this is on, I believe, the zoning board of appeals. They've come back with a different proposal that's gonna be on, I'm not sure when that meeting
I believe it's
is.
this Thursday.
This
I believe.
Thursday, I thought, yeah. How does, I mean, if we approve both of these and ZBA grants what they're asking, then what? If we agree to a do we have, like, before we finally approve it, I think it's important. Are we gonna approve it tonight? I can't remember, is it on first
Yeah,
read?
it's
It
on
is actually
It's starred.
and starred to continue this process. So I think what would essentially would happen, Alder, is if in fact that happened, we would certainly need to revisit that particular part. But right now, we are essentially between the court order that we have in hand from the Supreme Court and then the motion from the other day, we are continuing to proceed. Again, they would have to have gotten some sort of injunction in order for us to stop. I don't think there is any order from us based on conversations with the city
No.
attorney that we have to hold this
No.
based on the action coming on Thursday.
We don't, right, I would agree that we don't have to. But my concern is, when ZBA hears this new sort of angle they're trying for, this, if they approve it, and we've already approved a contract to tear it down, where does that leave us with the contract to tear it down?
Well, we could certainly wait on executing the contract, I would suppose, until Thursday, if that would be
Or-
the
Yeah,
preference
or
of this
Friday.
body, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. If Bill's not gonna be here tonight, right?
Not tonight, no.
So,
I think our understanding, isn't it, that they've gone through all the legal possibilities and been denied and,
right. They have a new attorney who was more creative and is trying,
yeah.
Correct.
to me, it looks like kind of an end run, but
Yeah.
that's really up to ZBA to have the hearing and
Do you
Great
know
argument.
what the gist of that is? Like, what, is it like substantially?
to take it down to my understanding is take it down to the foundations and rebuild it, and they're claiming they can do it for less than half of the value,
Okay.
which is, I don't know how they can do that, but that's really, it's a ZBA issue, they have that independent authority, so I just don't.
Will
Yeah.
ZBA know the history of this situation? And-
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Mayor, yeah, they'll certainly have that, that'll be fully
Okay.
profiled out, absolutely.
My understanding is it's gonna be fully lawyered because we'll have city attorney, CBA is getting their own counsel,
We need
and
to have an independent counsel.
Lord.
the applicant will have their attorney. Yeah, it's rare, but
Yeah,
those license reviews done that
Mhm.
very rarely, but if, had to get its own counsel or have a special prosecutor, so, anyway.
Yeah, I guess if, certainly, Alder, if that was a concern, I guess I would recommend conditional, approval conditional on ZBA action on Thursday, if that would be acceptable.
That seems to me a little safer route to go. I mean, it's not like it's 3 weeks or something.
No, exactly.
is that something we should add an amendment to this, or just add it at council?
I think you could probably just add it at council there. I don't think you need, we can certainly say that that was a, unless you want to certainly put it just as a recommendation.
I think
part of
we
your
ought to-
recommendation
I don't
in
know.
your motion. I mean, certainly you could put it as part of your motion.
I guess
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to put it in there as our recommendation, and then if council doesn't want to, they can take it out.
I would
So-
agree with that, yep.
So is that an amendment to the original motion?
Yeah,
I think that'd be safest, Mayor. It's just approve it as an amendment and then approve it as amended, yeah.
Is that okay with you, Doug?
yeah, so I'll move to amend to have this contingent on contingent on the outcome of the ZBA meeting.
On the
On March-
20th, is that
Yeah,
the?
March 20th.
Second,
Okay, all in favor of,
the amendment.
well, is there any further discussion of the amendment?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Now we're back to the original motion as amended. Is there any further discussion on that?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Actually, should we have had a roll call for that, since it's amending the operating budget?
I think probably that would be officially such. We
Okay, I'm gonna
record it
step
as
back
such.
here.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think-
record it as such.
Yeah.
Elaine, do you want to call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder DePula.
Aye.
There you go.
All right. Do we need the same amendment on this next one, then?
Yeah, well, I think that, we have to, I think the budget is, we usually do the budget amendment first, I think, so the money's there. But I would certainly say, yeah, I would put the same,
Okay. Item 6G, consideration of resolution 25-3-2793, approving a contract for demolition of structures at 4539 Winnequa Road. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve?
I'll second was that
Oh, yeah, motion to
including?
approve with the amendment. Motion to approve with the amendment to approve contingent upon the action of ZBA on Thursday.
Second.
Second?
Yeah.
And we just have to vote on, you just have to vote on that, right? It's not a two.
Yeah, no, I think that's,
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. And I have to say those pictures included in the packet or something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot. I actually did have a question, but
Oh, well, you can
Um,
ask it. Well, you wanna ask
I
it?
can ask it again. But, well, it's just, at council, we need to, I think, explain why the contractor with the lowest number isn't being recommended for the
Absolutely.
award because
Yep.
they actually didn't fulfill two of the conditions of the RFP.
yeah,
So we,
absolutely.
good enough.
All right, so we're set on that. Next, item H, convene in closed session under Wisconsin statute section 19.85, paren 1, paren G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. This involves finish line towing. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go into closed session?
Second?
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alder DePula,
Aye.
Alder Wood.
Aye.
We are in closed session.
Want me to get the door?
That's most
Thank
of
you,
them.
Rick.
A lot of the stuff is, the rest stuff is just a lot of common stuff. Oh, on last one, page 99, TAPCO, the rapid flash beacons. I don't know if they're officially installed, but here's the bills for each one of them so far.
All right, that's everything?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to accept the bills?
Motion to accept the bills?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bills are accepted. Neil, do you have any staff updates?
No other updates, Mayor.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.